disturbance in the stone earlier. I'm going to refrain from trying to offer that staff report. Since we are running 18 minutes behind schedule, I think we'll just jump right in and try to take anything we can from the consent agenda, although it looks like it's going to be small. None of these resolutions appear to be eligible. We'll just go through the resolutions then in order. Resolution RS 2019-1559 modifies the master list of architects and engineers originally approved by Resolution RS 94-1050, and there is a proposed amendment, which I believe is yours, Councilmember Henderson.
Yes, I would like to move my amendment, please.
All right, we have a motion on an amendment to this resolution. Need a second? Second. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Explain the amendment.
You certainly may.
Got a little additional clarification from the last time we discussed this. So just so colleagues understand, Collier Engineering, which is, I think, rightly under a little bit of scrutiny right now, through this amendment remains on the master list, okay? But they are not updated by this resolution because at present they are specifically listed on the A&E master list for engineering only. So what they would be kind of achieving through this update of the master list would be to provide additional credentials so that they can also be qualified as landscape architects. So what I would just ask us to consider is that with this amendment, they rightly and I think fairly remain on the list, but given the current scrutiny, the audit, the state comptroller's investigation, I don't think that we should, as a Public Works Committee, advance an update that allows them to expand the scope of work that they're doing for the city. And so with that, I would ask your support and happy to answer any questions.
Any further discussion on Councilmember Henderson's amendment? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Councilmember, I know you need to be regarding.
You're on the amendment. Okay. All right, that's the vote on the amendment, and now we will move forward with the bill as amended. I would accept a motion. So moved. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Same abstention there, yep. And one abstention. All right, great. Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Perfect. Oh, you're abstaining?
Yes.
Did you abstain on the amendment or just the master list?
I was late, but I would like to abstain amendment as well, so abstain.
I will record you as such. All right, now we'll move on to, Councilor Wiener is not back yet. If folks don't mind, when Councilmember Wiener comes back in, we will pick up something very late in the agenda to give her an opportunity to take some guests she has downstairs. But in the meantime, we will go on with Resolution 2019-1624, approves Amendment 3 to an agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for improvements on Jefferson Street. We do have a letter to approve. I guess this could have actually gone on consent. I would accept a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we've got clarity on that one. All right, I will be taking this over to rules as well in just a bit, but we have a late filed ordinance. This one was a timing issue. There was, let's see, do we have somebody from Public Works who wanted to talk about this? Let's do this. I would accept a motion for a late filed ordinance on some, it is an ordinance authorizing 151 Nashville LLC to install, construct, and maintain aerial and underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 151 First Avenue South. I have talked to Mike Jamison in our office, as well as Public Works, about this one. There was sort of a communication and timing issue at play, but Sharon, I don't know if you want to explain on behalf of Public Works, or?
He had the information and I wasn't able to give it.
Yeah, I know.
Mark had it yesterday.
I spoke to Devin actually just this morning, and he acknowledged that he was not going to be able to be here tonight. But this is not something that I feel like is in any way against the spirit of transparency and process. This was basically, there was a miscommunication, I think, between Public Works and the council office that resulted in it originally being filed for the 19th instead of tonight, even though it was supposed to have been filed for tonight. So I'll be taking that to rules. I would accept a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone. All right, with Councilmember Weiner back in the room, any objections to taking her bill first and the next set of bills on second reading? All right, hearing no objections, we will go to BL 2019-1522, authorizes the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of Public Works Project Highway 70 South sidewalk improvements. Councilmember Weiner, did you want to? I've got a letter, so.
You have a letter, and I would appreciate your support.
Oh, perfect.
We need our sidewalks.
Excellent. All right, I would accept a motion to approve. A motion and a second. Any discussion?
May I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Council Lady Weiner, I had asked you just briefly yesterday, could you highlight, I know 70 South is one of our major state routes. I'm fortunate a little further down 70 South in my district that we're going to get a sidewalk improvement there in partnership with TDOT to get some more people to transit. Did have a little bit of back and forth as to the way TDOT, used to design sidewalks and kind of what our major collector street plan standards are to get those sidewalks back off the road. I know you shared that is somewhat of a problematic area with multiple gas stations, drive-through restaurants, a lot of curb cuts, a hill, so forth. Can you speak to, through this kind of right-of-way acquisition, the standard to which we are building? Are we going to have our arterial standard there, or
So
where
given
are
that
we?
I am not a traffic engineer, I'm going to let them answer the question. Public Works.
That I do not have the answer on, but I can get it.
That'd be great.
So, okay.
We've got it on third, too, Councilman Henderson. Do you want to
Okay.
take any action now?
Can we just re-refer it back here just to make
I don't care.
sure? Okay. Yeah,
Let me ask, Sharon, is there an issue with timing on this? Or if we kind of for 2 more weeks, is that going to end the world?
Not that I know of.
yeah, no, I think it's fine for it to go on, Council Lady. I'm just saying, third, if we could just re-refer it back. I've just seen some things have come through committee where we're on a state route, the engineering's already been done, it's not really to the metro standard now, and so
Sharon, if you can just get that, that'd be great.
yeah, I just feel like some things get a little past us, and then it's like, ooh, why are we building to this lower standard? I just want to make sure that's a gateway to Bellevue.
That wasn't my understanding, but I can get you the specifics.
I
just don't
appreciate
have
it.
with me.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, so am I to understand, so we've got a motion seconded to approve. Do we want to, who made the original motion? Are we okay with the motion to re-refer?
Re-refer here. Okay.
So we've got a motion to re-refer to Public Works on third, in a second. Any further discussion on BL 2019-1522? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. All right, now back to bills in second. There are a couple it looks like we can take on a consent agenda, so let's see if we can do that. We've got, please let me know if any of these need to come off. BL 2018-1388 abandons existing sanitary sewer main and easements to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 3964 Woodlawn Drive. BL 2019-1489 amends section 1262-60 of the Metro Code of Laws pertaining to data collection from operators of shared urban mobility devices. BL 2019-1518. Actually, let me not do that one. I'm going to defer that.
Is there a substitute for 1489?
1489 is just the data one. It is not the big one.
Can we still take that off the consent
That's
agenda
fine.
question?
Absolutely. Sure. And note that Councilman Elrod unfortunately is running late tonight, so he might not be able to answer your questions. I guess that's it. So we'll just take them in order. In which case, back to BL 2018-1388. I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. BL 2018-1404, amend section 680-550 and section 1208-150 of the Metro Code of Laws to remove certain storage and impound fees for recovered stolen vehicles. There has been an amendment proposed, and I believe, Councilmember Roten, we're going to, I think, defer this. Is that correct?
Yeah, and just so anybody's watching, friends, Mr. Pridemore's, I think, Billy, you've been talking with attorney here at the Metro Council office trying to get an amendment worked out. And I know, Freddie, you've been talking with somebody. And I've been really busy on it, and I haven't been able to get to work on this. And so Freddie, I think, is helping me, and Mr. Jameson's helping me to kind of take the lead so we can get an amendment that we can actually talk about. But right now, it's just not ready, so we're going to defer this for one meeting.
Okay.
Oh, that's the motion, defer for one meeting.
All right, we've got a motion to defer for one meeting, and we'll carry it to the amendment. We'll go with it for now. Okay, so motion to defer for one meeting.
Okay.
Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Any abstentions? We will defer for one meeting. Thank you, everyone. BL 2019-1475, amends sections 1564-110 and 1564-140 of the Metro Code of Laws pertaining to the time period for which grading permits remain valid and the review of grading permits and drainage plans. Councilmember Hall is with us. I know there's an amendment on this one. Councilmember Hall, would you like to advise us on this bill?
I'd like to move the amendment. And briefly with an explanation, this is something that has been in the works for a few months. We've had some phenomenal conversations and a lot of cooperation between departments. And so we finally got it to where it's acceptable to everybody and still addresses the issues that we were trying to address originally. So I want to make sure I thank Stormwater, Public Works, Codes, everybody that's been involved in the process, because there was a lot of enlightenment, but like I said, we had some great conversation, especially our last meeting, and so we finally got this, I think, exactly where it needs to be.
Well, and I will say, I know your predecessor did some work on this as well, and just as chair, I know this is an issue that is of serious concern to constituents in District 1, but should, I hope, also have impact for folks countywide, that people are not abusing the grading permit process. So I would like to commend you and thank you for your work on this. I would accept a motion to, on the amendment.
Move the amendment.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Chair, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yes.
I have just one quick question. I think it was an amendment. I'm sorry, I didn't bring the amendment, but I think one thing it kind of triggered me is, it says residential zone district or district permitting residential use. So district permitting residential use is cover pretty much 70% of the zone district, and especially AR2A allow residential use. So I just wanted to make sure that language being in there does not have your negative, unintended consequences, especially in your district.
Right, and that was part of this process, getting through that specific question. We worked really hard at making sure that this wasn't having an impact on other sites, clearing up the definitions on grading versus mass grading, how those sites are operated within residential neighborhoods. And so that's why we've taken the length of time that we have to make sure that those consequences were not impacting other projects or other communities.
Okay.
Thank you for the explanation.
Councilman Hall, can you clarify, I think, as I understood it, as it was before when it was problematic, was the permit period longer, or it was just kind of default renewal, or, 18 months now compared to what?
Right, so there was more or less a default renewal. You could basically do it indefinitely. And so what this does is refocuses both on the initial application process and the renewal process. And so by adjusting those criteria, we've made it possible to have the time period added to that.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman? I wanted to thank Councilmember Hall for doing this. I've had a site in District 31 that is being moving dirt now for like 10 years. and I got complaints from the neighbors because as the trucks come in and out of that facility, that empty lot, they get Bell Road all covered with mud, and then the trucks go into the residential street. So a site that is supposed to be a construction site became a commercial use, which, we have rules for commercial use, for industrial uses, and by not having this legislation, it creates opportunity for abuse and to make something that is meant to help a builder be able to grade the site and get it ready for construction. It becomes basically a place where field can be brought in and field can be sold. So it's really, I applaud your idea. Thank you very much, Councilman. This is going to be helpful. And I appreciate also that you work with the business community and the different agencies to make sure that we are not increasing the bureaucracy and making it harder for people that want to build a development to have to deal with any roadblocks. So just wanted to say thank you, and I support the legislation.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and now I would accept a motion on the bill as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. Thank you, everyone. BL 2019-1489 amends Section 1262.060 of the Metro Code of Laws pertaining to data collection from operators of shared urban mobility devices. I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a motion? Need a second. All right, got a second. Councilmember Henderson, I think you had discussion.
Yeah, I guess I know Councilman Elrod is not here, but just reading briefly the analysis, the ordinance require that permitted operators provide Metro ITS with parking photographs delivered by the user if such photograph is otherwise required by the operator. This measure is intended to assist with the enforcement of SUMD parking regulations. So I don't know, Mr. Lynch, can you speak to this, or
I think what his intent was is to make sure that all the vehicles are being parked appropriately, and one way to be able to prove that is that a photograph is taken. And so that becomes part of the permanent record. If there's an issue of the parking, then there's a photograph that goes with it.
It's just another piece of data.
and so is that just is that a default, or it depends on an operator? To kind of close out your ride, and so you kind of have a stop moment and you're not continuing to get billed. Do you have to
Depends on
send a
the
picture
operator.
and show like I've parked it appropriately?
That's my understanding is the way it would work, is that would close it out.
Is that true for Bird? You have
Yes.
to take a picture?
Yes, that's exactly.
I don't know.
But it's not true for every
It
operator
is not
necessarily.
some specific requirement, but that's why the bill speaks to if it is available.
So to finish it, to stop it, part of it is check, picture, click, stopped.
Okay, and so it's basically data sharing. So if it were ever to come up that it was misparked or created a hazard or somebody fell, or you could go back and document that, okay.
Yes.
Has IT weighed in on whether this, I have no idea if picture is a huger chunk of data than other data that we're gathering on each trip. Is that something that IT can handle without additional cost or a need for it?
ITS, I know, has worked very closely with TLC and the operators on overall data capture on this piece. I suspect we would have heard by now, but we can certainly inquire of them before this goes to third.
I would like to ask that and maybe re-refer just to be safe.
Considering how much storage I have in my email and how few requests we're getting on this particular issue, my guess is it's not going to be particularly problematic.
Okay.
So, I guess, although I suppose it's not going to be a request issue from Hub, it would be through the data feed. But yeah, we can ask. You want to re-refer, or are you comfortable with it?
If whoever made the motion is okay with that?
Okay, I think that Councilman Primore maybe made the motion originally, but does anybody object to a re-referral to Public Works on third? Okay.
I do have a question. What's the penalty?
Right now, I guess it would be $25.
That would be Let me back up. I'm not
in the-
actually sure there's a penalty on this particular one because of the
Yeah.
data issue. I can't
Right.
answer that.
Yeah.
So you mean, you sure there's not a penalty, or
I believe-
you don't
Well,
think it is?
I think the penalty becomes, we've had a lot of questions about, what is a company violation, what is a rider violation. Clearly, it's a rider violation to start with, but it becomes a company issue when the company fails to do what we've asked them to do. That's when the company has the problem, is when we say, we want you to do this, this, and this, they fail to do that, then they're on the hook. No questions asked.
Aren't we doing a new, I think the second substitute as amended has a $10 parking violation.
He did make some modifications to it.
That's a deterrent.
Yeah.
$10.
More than right now. I believe it is 0.
And that's collected how? Just like a,
If the
electronic
commission
generation?
assesses if the commission assesses the fee, then it'll be collected by the commission, then to the general fund. We'd order it collected, and then they'd have to submit it to us. We'd deposit it as part of our deposit, and it would go into the general fund.
But I mean, is it issued by you all, issued by
Right, that's-
MNPD, Traffic Enforcement Division?
I'm assuming if it's in the ordinance, if it, as amendment, I'm assuming we would be the ones to be able to assess it.
so do you assess the company?
We wouldn't, I believe
It's
we
currently
would.
drafted.
At that level, we would.
I
Again,
believe
I
the
didn't-
amendment address the assess to the company, and then company may assess to the client. That's how I think amendment was written.
Anyhow, this is not about any of the fines or penalties. This is literally just a piece of data, so I do want to try to keep focus of discussion on this particular bill. Any further discussion on collecting a photograph of appropriate parking per Councilman Member Elrod's bill?
Well, a quick question. The photograph is then used to establish the guilt of the party?
I mean, on the positive side, it just proves that it was parked properly. If it fails to be parked properly, then it would show that there was a violation or an error in parking.
Can you depend on a timestamp of the picture to know that the picture that's being submitted is in fact, I mean, why wouldn't you just submit a correctly parked, picture of a correctly parked?
I think it would take an extraordinary effort on the part of the operators to fake a correctly parked vehicle for every instance. They have to submit it with a timestamp data feed
With the
that has
timestamp
already been agreed
of
to
the
by
feed.
ITS.
And then the expense from your department of collecting the $10 is you,
So, Councilmember, again,
I
that is
understand.
not for this
but
bill.
without the evidence, you can't ever collect it, right?
Theoretically, if their folks or traffic enforcement or MNPD found one on the street, they could assess on the spot regardless. This is more so that if this becomes a part of the documentation of
Their
how many
defense, in
violations are
effect.
we seeing, right? This is an event in the event stream.
Yeah, the way the charter is written and the way, as far as the Transportation Licensing Commission, anything that we're responsible for, and where there are appropriate places for citations to be written and penalties to be collected and fines to be fined, the commission has either between the staff and the commission, we have authority to do those things.
Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We've got BL 2019-1518, amends Title VI, Chapter 681, booting services. I have spoken with Mr. Jameson on this one, and I would entertain a motion to defer for one meeting, please. Got a motion and a second to defer for one meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. BL 2019-1519, this amends SO 93-740 to authorize complete closure of streets and alleys located on Vanderbilt University campus, and there is an amendment. Councilmember Allen.
I would move the amendment.
All right, we got a motion on the amendment and a second discussion. Councilmember Allen, do you want to
No,
describe?
I would like to ask Mary Pat if you can tell me. I think it's a housekeeping amendment. I'm not aware of it. I will check with Councilmember Jameson before we vote on it on the floor then. I just have a note that there was an amendment.
Let me see. I think I have
You
the
can tell me
amendment.
that was an amendment.
Can you tell me what's in the amendment? Because I don't want to hold
I'm
you up.
about to.
I'm sure Tara worked on it, but I don't.
It's actually pretty substantial, Councilmember Allen, so, but it's section 1 and it's a GIS thing, so it's, I suspect it probably is housekeeping.
I'm going to defer to the representative from Vanderbilt to see if you're.
I'm just saying this for the first time.
We can do a couple of things here. If you want to defer one meeting, Mary Pat, I don't know if it harms Vanderbilt's interest here for this to slow down, or we could re-refer on third.
Or we can take some time between now and when the council meets to chase Mike Jameson down and see if we can find out.
Yeah, let's try that.
You want to move as amended still, or wait till the floor?
Let's wait till the floor. Well, I mean, I can not move the amendment on the floor regardless. So let's keep all the options open, and then we'll do some homework between now
So
and.
we'll keep them. We've got a motion and a second on the amendment. We want to keep that and go forward, and then we can decide whether or not to move it on the floor.
Correct.
Okay. We sort of just had some discussion on the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment? All right. I'm going to accept the motion on the bill as amended.
So moved.
This looks like the area where they're doing all the construction over there, so I'm assuming that's what it has to
Well,
do
this
with.
is a bigger issue, I think.
I mean, I don't know what that means.
So this is-
The area
this
it's
is part of-
describing is
Yeah,
that big area.
the move VU and future VU
Yeah.
move to create a more walkable
Right.
campus, which
Right.
I'm supportive of, and if Mary Pat wants to talk more about, I mean, that.
Yeah, I just thought it was between 24th, 25th, and
Still
all
need a
that
second
area
on the
over
bill
there,
as
so.
amended.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have approval on that. All right,
Yes, it's a minor housekeeping amendment. It's anticipated from the sponsor in the analysis, so.
so we can
it's minor.
follow up on that.
on, yeah.
Councilmember Allen, you can work to speak to this on the floor, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you to Vanderbilt for this. Love to see a walking district. That's excellent.
All right,
Do the neighborhood walking distance.
yeah. We've got, sorry.
Is this where they're closing, aren't they closing some streets right through there and making it more of a?
If I can,
Yeah, I would like Mary Pat to.
Before we
the
move on.
streets in both the bills of 1518 and 1519 have been closed for a very long time. Some of them have been closed since 1993. But when the legislation was passed at that time, there was a requirement to keep them open to traffic. And we're going back around now and asking that that no longer be the case on 24th between West End and Vanderbilt Place, which is 2 blocks, and Kensington, which is 1 block between 25th and 24th. And it's to create a walking district that will allow for more biking and pedestrian issues. It's a safety consideration and kind of extending that into that part of town.
Yeah, I'd heard about that, so, yeah.
And those are both small streets.
Yeah, I know what we're
25th
talking
is the
about.
one that.
I was just wondering if that's what I'd heard about, because I heard
Right,
they were
isn't
doing all
that-
that right there, so.
Yeah. So if you think of West End and then 25th, it's that little section right in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pat. We have BL 2019-1520, amends BL 2000-278 as amended to authorize complete closure of a portion of 24th Avenue South. And Councilmember Allen, I'm already a little alarmed that we might be back in the same territory
So
here.
I do not have an amendment on this one.
It says that there's a proposed amendment. Let me see what we've got
I would
here.
think let's treat it the same way.
Yep, okay, we will do that. So I would accept a motion on the amendment.
Truman.
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We'll move on to the bill as amended. All in favor, please say, or well, let me see, any discussion, actually, we need a motion.
I move.
Second, second.
Squeeze.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All
You're the
opposed?
first person to say that.
All right, we're dropping away from our quorum here. Let's try to cover this last one in short order. BL 2019-1521 from Kendall. We have a letter to approve, provides the honorary street name designation of St. Thomas Midtown Way for a portion of 20th Avenue North. I accept the motion to approve.
I move. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And that, I believe, completes the work of this committee. All right, thank you, everyone.